society. So we have a very eminent speaker today with us. Before I hand over the mic to him, I would request Mr. Rao to welcome him with a bouquet of flowers. Thank you, Mr. Rao. And Achal bhai, you are welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Every moment is a sales moment, Rajiv bhai said. That is a sales moment for a salesperson. Absolutely. But I think every moment is a sales moment for each one of us. Now, I know why I am here. I love talking. My family doesn't necessarily agree. So they say, "Tum bahar jaake baat karo." So I'm here to talk. So I've got a reason. Why are you here? You're fond of listening. Fantastic. So that makes you a far better salesperson than me. Because I think the best quality that a salesperson is supposed to have is not that of a talker, but that of a listener. A couple of stories that I'd like to share with you. The first is about a hotel in a very big town in the United States of America. An elderly couple drove into the parking lot of a famous hotel, walked into the lobby, and asked the young man at the reception if he could give them a room for the evening. The man at the reception said, "Sorry, sir, sorry, ma'am, we are full up. The city has had a very busy day today and we don't have any rooms." The elderly gentleman looked at his wife and said, "We've had a long drive in the morning, we've had a tiring day, and I don't think I'll be able to drive back to our hometown." And they were both thinking as to what to do when a young man walked up to them and said, "Sir, ma'am, can I help you?" They repeated their problem. They wanted a room for the evening. They were tired. It was too late in the evening for the elderly gentleman to drive back. And they decided to, ask him for help. The young man said, "Sir, ma'am, I think we can find a solution." And how's that? "Well, sir, I have a room. You can take that room." I said, No, I don't think we would like to make your life difficult. We can't inconvenience you. He said, "Sir, absolutely no inconvenience. I suggest you take my room." They protested. He said, "I have a suggestion, sir. I'll show you my room. If you don't like it, I will not insist. However, if you like it, I insist that you stay. Incidentally, I'm a manager in this hotel. I'm going to be on duty for the night. I'm not going to need the room." They said, "Okay, we'll go and have a look at the room." They had a look at the room. The gentleman told his wife, "My dear, I don't find anything wrong with the room. The bed is clean, the bathroom is clean, and that's what we want." Immediately the young man said, "Sir, ma'am, I insist that you spend the evening here. Please be comfortable." And he left them. In the morning, the elderly couple checked out the young man, sought him out, thanked him for having been so hospitable at such a tough time. He said, "Absolutely no problem, sir. It's my duty." On the way out, the elderly gentleman told the young man, "Young man, mark my words, one of these days, you're going to become the general manager of one of the best properties in the United States of America." Polite young man, gentle young man. He didn't want to say, "Have samjha?" I understand what's going to happen. So he just smiled and said, "Thank you, sir." And they left. A couple of months later, this young man received a letter in a wonderful envelope which bore the logo of one of the best hotels that was coming up in the United States. He pulled out the letter, felt the embossed logo of the hotel, felt very good. And the letter said, "Congratulations, Mr. So-and-so. We are pleased to appoint you as the general manager for this property of ours which is coming up in this town. We are sending you this letter well in advance so that a couple of months from now you can join us after getting yourself relieved from your current assignment. We request you to join us after a couple of months so that you can become familiar with the hotel and the people before we launch 4 months from today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about sales, we talk about people, we talk about moments. When the young man asked the elderly gentleman and his wife to stay in the hotel, he didn't even know who they were. Now let me tell you, there was a yellow stick note on top of this letter which said, "Son, you were very nice to an elderly couple when they reached your hotel tired for the day. Your hospitality and the speed and the alacrity that you displayed shows that you're fit for a far more senior position that you currently occupy. And therefore, I insisted to my board that they select you as the general manager. Incidentally, I am one of the members of the board of this hotel." Rewards don't necessarily come your way when you seek out people who are going around distributing rewards. Every moment is a sales moment if you're not bothered about when, how, and how big the rewards are going to be. He didn't know who they were. Anyway, that was the United States. That was a very big hotel. Let's come closer to home. And let's talk about a palace resort in Rajasthan. Near Udaipur, and what perfect timing that my friend who accompanied me on this trip to Udaipur has also just walked in. Near Udaipur, there is this place called Devigarh Palace, where a few of us family friends went together for a holiday, a very brief weekend. Well, we had paid a fair amount for that place, and so we knew it was going to be stylish, we knew it was going to be comfortable, we knew things were going to be clean, neat, well organized, everything was fine. The temperature in the rooms in our suite, the food, the way we were looked after, everyone was smiling, we were received the typical Rajasthani hospitality, everything was there. It was expected, it was there. Nothing extraordinary. Now, when you look at the bed in most of the hotels after you come back after a tiring day outside, you'll find that the bed is neatly tucked. You'll probably find a rose on one corner, or you'll probably find some chocolate. People mechanically keep chocolates there, and when people go to sleep, they mechanically pop that chocolate into their mouth and then go to sleep. Nothing very extraordinary about it. What I noticed was a small little personal handwritten letter from a member of the housekeeping team, which said, "I made your room for the day. I hope it is neat and clean and comfortable. Incidentally, my name is Radhe." Now, how many of us remember the names of housekeeping staff? Now, let me tell you, this is why I wanted to tell you about this particular incident was, you meet the reception people, you meet the sales manager of the hotel at times, you meet people who are serving you food, you meet the restaurant manager. But here, you don't meet the guy from housekeeping, so he doesn't even get a chance to get a tip from you. So lesson number 2, people don't necessarily work for tips. And when you don't necessarily work for tips, you probably get far better treats. Again, the same thing that if you don't care who gets the credit for what has been done, your achievements can probably be even better. So that was a very interesting thing, and I wrote to the hotel and said, "Your housekeeping guy is a magician." There were 2 spelling mistakes. The English grammar was not in place. Doesn't matter. The guy wasn't here to sell you a dictionary. The guy was here to give you service. And I loved that service. A third example. Now this is something that really touched my heart. I think it was the year 1985. I was sitting in the porch of my house with my wife, and we were having a cup of tea, morning time. And a gentleman whom I knew as Kishore Bhai from the purchase department of what then, those years, was known as Nutan Mills, part of the Lal Bhai group. Kishore Bhai came up and greeted me I said, किशोर भाई आइए प्लीज, आइए चाय पीजिए. सर नहीं मैं जल्दी में हूं, मुझे मिल जाना है. क्या है रंगस्वामी साहब, वो जो स्पिनिंग डिपार्टमेंट में वो 200 किलो का जो कांटा है ना, उसमें थोड़ा सा एरर कुछ बता रहा. This is the time when I interrupted him. I shouldn't have. I interrupted him and I said, किशोर भाई आपको मालूम होगा, मैंने आपको चिट्ठी भेजा, मैंने आपको फोन भी करके बताया, अब मैं एवरी में नहीं हूं. इनफैक्ट मैं पूना जाकर वापस भी आ चुका हूं और मैंने जेरोक्स करके एक कंपनी ज्वाइन किया. हम लोग अभी फोटोकॉपियर्स लॉन्च करने वाले हैं भारत में. तो मुझे मालूम है, आपने बताया था मुझे, लेकिन मुझे ये भी मालूम था कि कांटों के मामले में आप सही एडवाइस देंगे, इसलिए मैं आपके पास आया. मैं पीछे रहता हूं गुणातीत सोसाइटी में. I know you've been our neighbor for a long time. Kishore Bhai sought me out because he thought this man will give the right advice. Now, he's come all the way. I no longer sell weighing scales, so what should I do? But then I realized what could probably be done, and I explained to him that on the side panel there was a small swivel lock which could be opened, and he could, with the help of what we all call in Ahmedabad a dismiss, turn it a little anti-clockwise and settle the balance of this particular scale. He called me up later and thanked me for it. Now what I'm trying to actually talk about is, all these three people went probably beyond the call of duty. Actually, the first reception guy in the hotel did his job. He was supposed to say there is no room. He said there is no room. He wasn't breaking any rules. The other man actually probably went beyond the call of duty. He probably bent a couple of rules maybe. He couldn't have charged for the room. It was his own room. I don't know whether he charged or not. The point that I'm trying to make is, at times you may even have to mend a rule or bend a rule if it is a question of a customer. Two examples before I get on to the presentation. We all talk about low-cost airlines. We talk about the rates falling, and we talk about indifferent service to the extent that we friends always joke that बहुत जल्द एक अनाउंसमेंट होगा, 199 रुपए में दिल्ली से मद्रास, कृपया अपनी कुर्सियां साथ में लाना. Now, in such a scenario, I remember I used to be based at Baroda at that time when I was working with Bell Ceramics. And I took a flight from Baroda to Bombay and Bombay to Guwahati. I must have slept on the first leg early morning. On the second leg, I felt hungry. And the flight must have been on for quite some time. I must have woken up late. It was probably about time that they were packing up and collecting the garbage. They want to do that before you land. I rang the bell and asked the lady, can I have a sandwich? Sorry, sir, we've run out of stock. I said, ma'am, I'm hungry. And I wanted to try my own crazy sense of humor, which doesn't work most of the time. I said, if I stay hungry longer, I might hijack this aircraft. She didn't move. I said, ma'am, I'm going to lose my balance if I don't eat. She didn't say anything, and she quietly walked away. Obviously, she realized that I was joking. She walked away. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, now probably just about 10, 12 minutes for the aircraft to land, she suddenly came and gave me a packet which contained the sandwich of my choice. I thanked her, but then I decided that I'll not eat now, I'll land after we land at Guwahati. I can probably eat it in the taxi on my way to the hotel, which is pretty far away from the airport. But then I thought I'll go to the washroom for a minute. On my way to the washroom, I met another stewardess, and I said, funny lady, she says we are out of stock, then she goes silent for 10 minutes, and then she offers me a sandwich. Strange, isn't it? You have different rules for different people. This lady floored me by making a statement. She said, no sir, she gave you a sandwich out of her own stock. She was going to eat that. I wanted to write it on my blog, but before that another incident happened. Again, the same airline. We all run down these inexpensive airlines saying they are no good and things like that. One of those stories. I wanted a cup of tea on a short haul flight. And the rules are that on a short haul flight, they don't serve you hot beverages. So the lady refused. And again, I started my own stunts of I'm a tea addict. I actually am, sir. I'm a tea addict. And I need that cup of tea, otherwise I'll go off my onions and things like that. After 10 minutes of silence, this lady comes up and says, "Excuse me, sir, can you follow me?" I said, "What?" She said, "Could you please follow me?" And she took me to the rear end of the aircraft, the aft side of the aircraft, and gave me a cup, a paper cup with tea in it. I couldn't understand. She said, "Sir, could you, I know it's inconvenient for you, could you have this cup of tea standing here? Because if you were to take it there, everybody in the plane will ask